Hello, and welcome to the first episode of The Voice Weavers. We are very grateful for all the love and support we have received in our endeavor. Our hearts are full of hope for a very successful run in the future.
The Voice Weavers is a sincere effort to form a platform and a safe space for women to come together, share, and uplift each other. Having benefited greatly from our circle of friendship, we felt obliged to spread this magical feeling to others who seek it.
8th of March, International Women's Day, is not just to recognize the achievements of women in social, economic, cultural, and political spheres, but to also remind us to continue working towards our collective goals. With gratitude, we pay homage to all the great women of the past whose struggles, grit, and determination made it possible for us to have the modern day existence that we have today. It's our duty to continue the efforts and to achieve the dreams and the goals set by them. We owe it to them and our future generations. We hope our effort will work in that direction.
Today, we are diving into a topic that resonates so deeply with so many of us, yet often feel tangled in guilt, societal expectations, and the endless to do list of modern life. How do I prioritize myself as a modern woman today? I open the topic for discussion. What do you think it means to prioritize myself?
I think I have come a very long way in terms of prioritizing myself. And now, standing here where I am, I realize that prioritizing myself was not or is not a luxury. It's been a revolution. So, for especially for women, the most important thing is to feel, understand self, empower, uplift, and being unapologetical, choosing ourselves. That is what is self priority for me.
It all sounds very nice when you talk like this: empowerment, upliftment, choosing myself. But we don't really have that option. As women, I mean, choosing myself has been the last option available to me. So when you talk about, that it's not a luxury for you, what really interests me is that how did you make that shift?
Well, I think I was able to look at what and how I was conditioned and how that conditioning to be very good, to self sacrifice, all these things one day started to suffocate me. And that's how the journey began to prioritize. So,
Right.
as you yes, these words are very powerful. And to achieve and be in that space always, it takes a lot. So,
Right.
everything has to hit that point of suffocation. And, that's when the real growth starts.
I agree with Darshana completely here, Nidhi. So for me, I didn't always prioritize myself. Okay, the journey started from a point of awareness. Awareness that there's something missing, and then I had to look at myself as to who I am as Ritu. Ritu, when I'm not conditioned by my upbringing, or when I'm not influenced by my kids, my husband, my family. Who am I? And then today, to me, prioritization could be something as simple as, I like to have my morning chai without anybody disturbing me. And from there, it goes on to bigger things. It goes on to things like saying, okay, I love myself. I am important too. So as a family, we will also watch movies that I like to watch, or I'm going to cook food that I like. It's not just what others like that is important. Prioritization could even go further, and it could go to the point of saying that, my work is as important as anybody else's work. So it can start with something as small as chai, and it could go on to saying that, I am an important integral part of not just my life, but of the life of my family as well. I need to be nurtured as much as anybody else needs it, and I'm as much a priority as anyone else. But I think, to Archana's point, it only starts the day you realize that there's something missing and you need to do something about it.
Right.
Because otherwise, the society has conditioned us completely into just being nurturers, and we just keep giving, giving, and giving. And anytime we do anything different than giving, we feel really selfish.
Right.
So that is what we have grown up with, and that is what we live with till the time we realize that, oh, something is missing.
So that really brings me to this very important questions, that why is guilt so much attached to a woman prioritizing herself, and is there something we can do to, you know change that narrative, to shape the thinking of women? Because what it looks like is every woman's experience to give and give, to be the nurturer. So why has that narrative come up in the very first place, and is there anything that can be done about it?
I think this goes, the guilt, as you were speaking, comes from generations of women being conditioned, right? We are always there is always a scale of how much are you giving others. You're supposed to, right? You're supposed to keep yourself in the end first, others, right? So we are not only conditioned from the environment, but I think through the DNA also generations of women have been doing that. The way we have now evolved, it is kind of taking a bit of time for us to unlearn and change the internal and external wiring for this. So I think the way to change this narrative is very simple. It doesn't look like a big task. It's just about rewriting our inner story, right? And building that belief, strong foundation that prioritizing myself isn't selfish, right? We all know this example where if my cup is full, only then I can give, right? It holds good for others, where many a times I might be giving example this to my children or my husband or my friends, but do I really think that about myself? If my cup is full, if I have my inner story changed, then I can, what I have inside, only that I can give outside. So it's kind of, if my cup is full, then I'm able to take care of the family well, my work, my passion, all these things will come in. Of course, initially, for a lot of us, it will feel like, am I being selfish? I'm away from home or doing something for myself. It's quite natural, but it's okay. Start with being okay with it, and the amount of feeling you feel in your body, and everything shifts, and you'll realize that nothing there changed when you were self prioritizing yourself.
Right. Actually, Nidhi, to continue Archana's thought, when we say, when we are talking about prioritization, and we say we are nurturers, right? By birth and by societal conditioning, we are nurturers. So, as nurturers, what are we doing? We are prioritizing others, right? So, prioritization is the first step to be a nurturer. If you look at it that way, and continuing Archana's thought, if I cannot prioritize myself, I can't truly prioritize anyone else. So you could take it as a stepping stone to be a good nurturer. First, nurture your own self.
Excellent.
Also, I think one of the good things that has, good and bad things, I should say here, because one of the good side effects of COVID has been this, that we have been forced to look at ourselves. In those days where we were stuck at home, we had to really look within. And I think the very fact that the three of us are sitting here today and having this conversation is because we have had the time to sit down and see what is it that is going within me. Because as women, we only keep on looking at others. How is my husband feeling? How is my kid feeling? How are my parents feeling? How are my in-laws? How is the society looking at me? Blah, blah, blah. But we got a breather to be able to see what is going on within me. And the moment we look within ourselves, prioritization will be a need. And the day it becomes a need, then you go on and say, take the next step.
Right.
And when it becomes a need, I'm not saying it will not feel selfish, okay? For us, the first time you feel it, it will feel selfish. But the need will then make you take the next step forward.
I agree with you completely. And when you talk about, the need, uh, which basically I think will come from the concept of self knowledge. When I know myself, then I know what I need. All right. So, my next question is, like we are nurturers and we are stressing too much on this word nurturers. And there is so much of positive connotation to the word nurturers. All right. My first question is, how do all of us end up becoming nurturers? Why is it not a choice? All right. And number two is that with all the societal expectations of being the nurturer, how does one discover self knowledge? Because in my idea of self knowledge, uh, as we grow up, we take off who we are from people around us. That helps us build our self esteem, our self confidence, and every other concept of self that we have about ourselves. We actually getting it from people around us. So, would it not mean that now that we, after many years of doing it continuously, when we are trying to we are we are trying to figure out how to prioritize myself, how do we break down this concept of self that we have been given to us, and how do we get to the point of self knowledge and like know what I need?
So, self knowledge is very tricky word for me, right? So, if you look at what the society constantly tell us or the environment outside tell us, I think if you think about what is the against of what they're saying, that will be self knowledge.
You mean the absolute opposite of what they're saying? Okay.
You this. I'm not going to do that. That's my knowledge because I'm not comfortable doing this. I'm not saying you have to be rebellious and you have to fight for it and things like that. But it's just that giving a thought, what is happening outside? What am I being told? How do I feel inside? Do I agree with it or I don't? If I'm able to do that judgment within myself, I don't like it, so I express it. That is self knowledge.
One part is to express yourself, but would you say that when you express it, it also gets acknowledged, it also gets accepted? And what happens when it does not get accepted? Because you're not just expressing yourself, you're basically challenging the norms of the society, of a patriarchal order which is as old as the society we know. So the tough part in trying to change this narrative is basically, how do you navigate through challenging the set patterns?
I see an expectation attached to self expression. Hear what you're saying. If I express my feelings, I don't really have to have an expectation that the other person will agree to what I'm saying. What I'm feeling is true to me.
Right.
That and also a lot of about, I think, self boundary, right? If anyone, I don't have to have an approval for my self expression, right? I'm not saying we have to bring a revolution, but then small things. Can I just ignore if another person is unable to understand my expression of myself? How does that matter? Do I understand my own self expression? Perfect. Right? That gives us more inner power to take the next step because that is the strength of self knowledge. I was able to express myself. I'm not disturbed if other person is unable to comprehend my expression about myself. That's fine. But I'm able to. I think that becomes kind of basically we need to unlearn the expectations and rediscover our own true voice. That is self knowledge, which, like the self knowledge is like a sail. Expectations are like the currents. And the voice is what, inner voice is what you're controlling to sail.
Basically, so when we're actually going for self knowledge, we don't just have to break down expectations from ourselves, because we also hold ourselves at a pedestal that we can meet everyone's expectations, right? So first thing is to break down those expectations from ourselves. We are human, we can only do this much. And the second thing is to break down expectations from people around us, people we love the most, people we actually want to make happy. We want to do things for them. So you expect that because you're giving so much to them, that they would understand you, and the blowback comes when they do not.
So Nidhi, understanding from what you shared just now, as Ritu previously said, we have to be our own nurturers first. When you can nurture yourself first, that's when I think the expectations of others, what will they think? Am I doing it as per them? All these outer expectations will slowly disappear.
Okay.
Most of the time, we don't do that. Right? In a relationship, if you come in, I think there are three key words which I have been trying to practice recently is dedication, devotion, and consistency. Okay. These three things will help us to nurture ourselves without guilt. Once we don't have that, we don't expect that outside at all. It's kind of a ripple effect. What you feel inside is what you see outside. So if you are feeling, am I fitting their expectations? Am I fixing them? I'm doing this for them with all that I could understand of them. Am I serving them right? And then they don't even acknowledge me. Where is it coming from? Have you acknowledged yourself? Have you been in a good relationship with yourself? So I would actually ask you to go within and doing your inner work, changing your inner story is again those three things that I was saying, where dedication for yourself, devotion towards yourself, right? And consistency. If I have to say no, it's no. If I have to say yes, I have to say, it's kind of take a pause, then decide yes or no. For that, you should come first. That's how I feel. Because whatever you said is a kind of, it's kind of jumbled up everywhere. It's only expectations are kind of woven more prominently. So to untangle that, I think you have to just go within and question every time, how am I feeling? Right? And if I'm doing something for someone, thinking that I'm doing the right thing for them, for their betterment, it's my choice to do. So if I'm not being given the response the way I was expecting, then it's a problem with my choice, nothing to do with others.
So, what I would like to add here is, when you talk about self-knowledge, Nidhi, self-knowledge will first start from knowing yourself, right? And how do you know yourself? Like, what would you do to know yourself? If you can have an observer personality, watching every single thought, every single action as to, what is it that is going on in my mind as I'm doing anything XYZ. How am I feeling while even, making a cup of tea for my husband? How do I feel while I'm doing that? Then you will be able to see yourself from a third person point of view. And when you look at yourself from a third person point of view, then you can reach a point of self acceptance. You're talking about, are people accepting what I feel? My question to you is, are you accepting what you feel? And acceptance is the second step. Do you even know what you feel? Do you even know how you think? And most of us don't. Okay, so I'll give you a personal example. I decided to be a stay-at-home mom when my son was born. Okay, and I thought I was doing this, because I absolutely loved him and blah blah. I was doing some great job by doing that, and I lived almost, I would say, 18, 19 years of my life putting my work at the back burner. So I was still working on the side, but my work was on the back burner, thinking I'm being a great mom. And then one fine day, when I looked within, I realized I was being the most horrible mom by being that. Because all through those 19 years, I was not doing it out of love. I was doing it out of a feeling that, oh my God, I'm sacrificing so much. So I kept on sacrificing for 19 years, expecting people to love me for it, to love me for being a great mom, when I was not trying to be a great mom at all. Sacrifice will never get you. So basically, you're going to get what you give. Okay. So if you are doing something out of a feeling, ki, okay, I need to do this because this is how the society expects me to do stuff, you are a victim. So I was doing it out of a victim mentality without realizing that I'm doing it from a victim mentality, and I kept on getting victimized about for it. For the sense at every moment in my life, I felt, oh my God, I'm doing so much, I'm getting nothing in return. I'm not getting enough in return. It's only the day I realized that I am doing this from a very self sacrificial point of view that I was able to stop it.
Can
Now,
I
if
ask,
someone is being,
sorry. Can I ask, how did you come to that realization?
it's when you look within, when you sit down and you pay attention to what exactly is happening to you. I was able to see that I was not happy. At one point, I just realized that there is so much of bitterness, there's so much of sadness about, okay, people don't acknowledge what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. People don't value what I'm doing. Why is that? Because I did not value what I was doing. I did not value my role as a mother. I thought there was something else which was much better, much more valuable, which I was stopping myself from doing. I was not valuing it. Of course, nobody else could value it. So it is very important to understand how do you feel about yourself before anyone else. What is your expectation from someone else? In the first place, life begins with self acceptance.
Right.
And self acceptance begins with observing what is happening within you.
Right. See, for Ritu, as she said, she was able to observe what was happening. But for me, it was a different thing. I would always complain. I would always say, I've been doing this, nothing happens, no one cares for me, those kind of, again, victim, but also in a voice of anger and, nothing is happening, nobody cares for me, I do everything, etc., etc. But I think a million times, maybe my husband would have said that do something for yourself. And I would always, in that anger, I would always say him that I'm talking about something else and you're telling something else. Right? I wasn't even aware that he's telling something, go enjoy somewhere and come. You, like you're thinking about that, and I'm talking to you about something this, he didn't do this or she didn't do this, and this is what is happening with me. And then it would, go on conversation, and then like it kind of pushed me to such a extent that I had to do. I'm like, I'm sick and tired, like the threshold, and then do something, and then, oh my God, this is what he's been saying for long, right?
Right.
Oh, yes, I love this. Now I want to do more, right?
Right. And I'm sorry, Arshna, I'm speaking in the middle, but I've had similar conversations with my husband. And when he would tell me, why don't you do something for yourself? Why don't you prioritize yourself? I would actually get very angry with him. Okay. I would be so angry with him that how can he even think that I can do that? I have so much to do. I have so much of responsibility. How can I possibly do that? But it was actually later on, I realized it was my anger on my own self.
Absolutely. So much
I was
agree.
choosing to stay there.
Right. Right. Yeah. So also the simplest form of that is to make a simple list on a daily thing that we do. In that, what I like, what I don't like, what I like, I don't like, so what I like, the next day, can I just focus on doing what I like? And that will give small window for self priority. That can change. Like, okay, I don't know how to observe myself. I don't know this, that, that is all difficult. You guys don't understand. It's normal, but just make a simple list. I don't like ginger tea. I like tea with this. Okay. I like green tea. Okay. For example, I don't like, going walk in the morning. I love to go for a walk in the evening. So can you do that 5 minutes? Today, I made myself green tea. Wow, I'm feeling so good, right? That experience will pave the way for bigger experience and to unlearn that conditioning we have about ourselves, if that makes sense. So it helps us unlearn expectations. It's fine, you're expecting me to make a ginger tea. I will make for you, but I'm making a green tea for myself. So that's how the narrative can change.
So I had heard a Chinese proverb once, which was saying that, for you to have a fulfilling life, you need three things. One is somewhere to go, two is something to do, and three is something to love. So here, somewhere to go is to have a place where you are completely accepted, where you are loved, and where you can be yourself, like what we are doing here, right? There's complete acceptance, no judgment. Some people are lucky they have it within their families also. Some people will have it with their spouses, with their siblings. So that is one of the benchmarks that we need to have. The second thing is something to do. So something to do could be your work,
Mm.
right? And the third thing is something to love. Now, something to love for me personally is painting, or
Mm.
I like to write poems. For someone else, it could be dancing. For someone else, it could be singing, it could be anything. Now, what usually happens for women is something to do, everybody has. Okay.
Right.
And there are a lucky few like us who have somewhere to go.
Mm.
But 90% of the women have forgotten something to love.
Right. Right.
It's the something to love that we need to find. And the moment we have all of these three things, it will be a fulfilling life. But what's happened is for women, we are just stuck with something to do. And we are just leading our entire lives with something to do, something to do, something to do.
Yeah. That's such a beautiful thing you said, Ritu, the proverb. It's really, it makes complete sense. Absolutely. So I think it's also a journey of rediscovering ourselves, something that we love, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Prioritization, yeah, that's very beautifully said. Then, prioritization is rediscovering our own selves. So I have a question. It's very important to self prioritize. But when we, by the time, say, we understand that we are losing out on our own self, by the time the realization actually hits us that we need to do something about it, and we start taking step towards it, I'm very sure that our family, our society is not going to take it easily. They will not understand something has shifted in this person. They have gotten adjusted to the way we were, say, because we were conditioned like that. Women are termed very easily as like, "Ye pagal ho gayi hai," or, it's like something's gone wrong with her. Or, why is she suddenly behaving like this? Why is she saying no to things? And people just start saying that maybe early menopause or periods or all kind of unnecessary labels are put on women. So my question is, self-prioritization then only limited to take care of myself? Or do we need a shift in our thinking, a systemic shift? And it's not just for women, it is also for men, because they need to learn to accommodate that. Are they ready for it?
Right. So, Nidhi, when we talk about self care here, under prioritization of self care is like the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
It When I start to do self care activity for myself, it's just the tip. Below that is a lot that I have done for years, where the whole family, the environment, the people around me, everyone is conditioned one way. So when I'm changing, right, everyone's programming will just not change. Confusion, dislike, differences, all these things are meant to happen, right? So it is important for us to first question ourselves anytime this happens. The first thing is, how am I doing that I took care of myself? Keeping everything aside, breathe, ask yourself, how do I feel taking care of myself? I feel good. That is the inner strength, number one. Okay. And also, I will bring in an example here. Let's say a mother has not been, like how Ritu was saying, she kept her work aside to become a great mother. And let's say a mother has been with the child for 3-4 years at home, all the time available. And now she feels, what am I doing at home? I need to get back to work. Okay. Now, once she decides and she gets a job, she goes to the job. The day she would leave for the job, the amount of tantrums the child will do, because the child is also right at its place. The mother is also right at her place. The child will always cry, show tantrum, because it is feeling that mother has abandoned the child. She will never come back. She's gone. She's left me, all these things. Because imagine a 4-year-old child, the child is right at its place. Imagine this 30-year-old woman who wants to get back to herself, to her profession, or to her whatever she wants, whatever her needs are. She is right, because when she's going for work, she is not a mother. She is herself showing up at her work. Right? So when something shifts like this, there will be chaos. The second day, the child will actually catch hold of the mother. The child will not let the mother get ready, because I will stop you. I will stop you. Right? What does the mother do? Oh, he's crying, so I'll leave my job. No, she will kind of, make him give chocolate or something, divert TV or something. And then, even if he's crying on top of his voice, she will walk out. And what happens after a few days? The child smiles and says bye. So if the mother doesn't have the patience for this transition, for the decision that she has taken, if she's not strong enough, then it won't work. Right? So again, as I'm bringing back to what Ritu said, observe yourself. What is that you want? What is that you like? These are very, very important things to first, come to a strong foundation of what I want, who I am.
But won't
Then
most women give up at that point?
that's again it will again come with your own, foundation. I will say that.
So, like I said earlier, it is important for us to understand that I can't be a good mother if I'm not being good to myself. You'll be an unhappy person sitting at home with this child, because I have done it myself, okay? So nobody knows it better than me. You'll be a person sitting with this child, taking care of this child 24 by 7, doing your best to be there, but your heart and soul is not there in it. So, although you're physically present, your soul is not there. Now you are spending 24 hours taking care of this child and expecting someone to say, "Oh my God, you're such an amazing mother," because you're doing it to be an amazing mother. You're not doing it because you want to do it. You're doing it with an expectation to get some special prize for it, or with an expectation to say, "Oh my God, she's such a martyr." Or maybe the society is going to come tomorrow and say, "Be a mother like Ritu. The way she took care of her kids, she left everything, her education, blah, 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 and she did this." Nobody is going to give that to you. All
No,
that is going to happen is
we
your
worship
child is going to
mothers.
suffer.
Mm. No,
The,
this is what I mean. The construct that we live in, we worship mothers, Devi Ma. Okay, we want anyone who is nurturing, we want to worship that person. So this is exactly what I'm saying, like then it's not just the child who is crying, but the whole societal system, whole patriarchal system, the everything, our upbringing and everything which goes against you is like, can't you see your child is crying? Can't you see you're spoiling your life, your child's life, your family life? So much pressure comes. So that was my question. Do we not
no,
need a systemic shift when we talk about self prioritization? And do
Nidhi, I
need a change in the narrative?
no, Nidhi, of course, yes, we need a systemic shift in the long run, but I think the shift is going to start from within. In my case, I can tell you nobody asked me to do that.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, my husband must have told me a million times, why don't you work? You're so qualified. Go ahead and do what you need to do. We'll figure out how to make this happen. Okay. But it was my own conditioning, which was never told to me. Okay. Which I had just absorbed from the environment that I was living with.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think it is going to start from within the woman. It is not going to start from outside. And once it starts from within us, then of course it will spread out. It will definitely spread out. And I think it has started spreading out, or we would not have this conversation. We would not talk about prioritization. 20 years ago, three women would not sit together and talk about prioritization. They would be too ashamed of it. Whoever thought of it would have thought, "Oh my God, that's like so bad on my part to even think about it." And as far as the pressure from people is concerned, there may be some people for whom there is pressure from outside, and in that case, it makes us very angry. And even if there's no pressure, like I had no pressure, but I was angry with the rest of the world for something that I was doing to my own self. So, and we as women don't know how to express anger. Like you said, a few minutes ago, that we are labeled as crazy, or as menopausal, or as, okay, she may be having PMS, or a bitch for that matter, which is basically because we don't know how to express our anger. We will either be screaming and shouting like crazy people,
Hmm.
or we will cry. These are the only two ways in which we express our anger. So, to a very great extent, we need to learn how to express our anger in a way that people can understand what we are saying, and in a way that we can also understand what is happening within us. So, there's a book I'm going to recommend here. There's this beautiful book called The Dance of Anger. When I started working with my on my own self, my therapist had recommended this book for me, and it was a life changing book.
Absolutely.
For
I
me,
think anyone who is not even if you're not working on prioritizing yourself or anything, but simply it's a great book for women to learn how to use their anger positively to make their lives better.
Right.
I agree to that. In fact, Archana recommended that book to me, and I think I have recommended
Hmm.
it to every woman I have met.
Hmm.
Like, please read this book, including my mother, my sister, everyone. And no one has read it. And I keep begging them.
their time for self-care and self-priority will come soon, right?
Right.
I mean, what we are talking about here, Nidhi and Ritu, is absolutely right. I think the real work is about changing the system. And I feel it is changing because I can talk from my side and with whatever Ritu has shared. I think men are the real foundation for changing the system these days, right? From my experience of my family and from Ritu, what she said, I think they are standing up very strongly to change the system and showing us like a pointers. These are the ways you should go, the kind of a push that we're getting. Otherwise, still, in spite of all this, workplaces do penalize motherhood, cultures kind of normalize burnout. It's normal to be burned out, right? And uh, silencing women's ambition is kind of a great narrative that still exists.
And it
But
happens
can
at a very subtle, in a very subtle way. It's not now
we,
people don't do it like हमारे घर की लड़कियां बाहर काम करने नहीं जाती. But they'll be like, oh, okay, you need to adjust your timings. Oh, maybe you should not take this project. Oh, why don't you do this later? Oh, we have to shift. Oh, do you want me to give up my job for you? It's so subtle these days. And you're just like, oh, just give up. I like I can't do this. And then it's more like, you come back home and the house is a mess. So you have to finish your project and you have to take care of the house also. And it's so much work. And then Sundays is like catching up on everything. Multitasking is the norm, and no one realizes how much of a toll it can take on a person.
I think again, going back to as a family is one unit. So these days, as we were called nurturers, we are also earning. So men also step up into nurturing, right? Everyone has their contribution to the family. That has to be the boundary, right? So it definitely works amazing. It is again transitionally very tough, but we have to stand strong within because we want to achieve what we have thought of. That's why simplest way is to make a list of I don't like dropping kids to the school. Perfect. Right? Can I arrange a taxi every day to feel good? Why not? Right? Or can I hire the bus service? Why not? It's okay. So we have to be strong enough for that. I need to know what I like, what I don't like. If I have clarity on that, then it's much easier.
Right. I think also, the what I like and what I don't like is, of course, the very first step. Also, the moment we actually start prioritizing ourselves, we will see that people start prioritizing us. So, again, I'm going to give you a personal example. I have two kids, and my daughter is the younger one. And for all the years that my kids went to school, I woke up every day in the morning, got them ready, got their lunch boxes ready, and sent them off to school. And then I started on my personal journey of taking care of myself. And when my younger child, my daughter, was in 11th grade, one fine day, my husband woke up in the morning and packed her lunchbox. And from then till the time now she is finishing her high school, he wakes up in the morning and packs her lunchbox every day. I don't pack her lunchbox. And if you ask me, Ritu, what did you do for that? I actually did nothing. It just happened. Because I had started prioritizing myself, I think at some point he realized that, okay, why not just let her sleep and I'm going to do this. He just started doing it
Yeah.
and I just accepted it. It was so amazing. There is such immense pleasure that you get from nurturing yourself. You allow others to nurture you.
Yes. Agree. So much agree. So much agree because I have gone through similar experiences. in terms of, you know, and I would always even go to, you have not done this my way. So, so
I
it,
Yes.
you are
Yeah.
doing it great. I'm coming in, stepping and giving you a space where you can rest, and I'm doing it. Let me do it, right? So I would also
Right.
say, no, you have to do my way, kind of thing. And then I realized, oh my God, no,
Yeah.
right? So they have their way and we have our way. I absolutely agree with that, where it is for me as a woman to be okay to feel that I can rest.
Yes.
Okay. A day when maybe I have worked till 2 a.m. and I am sleeping, and my husband would get up and try help my kids to get ready. And he would say, you continue sleeping. If I don't believe that I need rest, if I carry that guilt, I will push myself, get up, do everything, and then get angry on myself and more angry on him
Yeah.
for no reason, right? Can I just allow? And I have had my husband saying many times, what will happen one day if they eat in the school? What will happen one day if they have two cookies and a glass of milk for breakfast? Let them, right? So it is also about, mainly about ourselves, right? Being strong ourselves, allowing others to take care of us, taking care of ourselves along with allowing others who are ready to take care of us,
Yeah.
right? We always as women juggle between making choices between success and well-being. Why don't we just understand that our well-being is our success, right? Yeah, but it came late, but yeah, I think we are evolving still. But yeah, it's an amazing place to be, where our well-being is our success.
Yeah. Right. Exactly the way, Archana is saying, we actually, not just the fact that we don't nurture our own selves, we make it very difficult for others to nurture us also. We
Right.
don't realize how difficult we make it for our partners by nitpicking, like Archana said, do things my way, or by saying that no, no, I'm going to wake up in the morning. If I'm not allowing the other person to nurture myself and then complaining about why you're not nurturing me, it's a vicious circle, right? Why you're not acknowledging me? Why are you not doing anything for me? And the moment he does something, then we nitpick in that, why
but
did you do it like this? Why did you not do it like that?
But aren't we also conditioned to question that in a way that, I mean, I'm sure all of you heard Zodu Ka Gulam, or, things like her husband does everything, she does nothing. So those titles also are given to us very freely. If the
How do
husband makes tea for me, then, maybe the mother-in-law will come and say like, बेटा ही मेरा सारा काम करता है, तो कुछ करती नहीं है. Um, I'm giving a very general statement. If we ask for something like, I'm tired, can you make the dinner today? And like, क्यों, मतलब, then it come back to women again.
Nidhi, I think what is important is not what is coming back to you. What is important is what comes back, what it is doing to you.
Yes, so that's what I say. Aren't we brought up with that kind of thought process? It's not that it
Right.
has come back to me or something like that, but I have heard
Hmm.
it. And
So I'll tell you honestly, if it comes back to me, you know what I'm going to feel, what is my response going to be is I would say, to my mother-in-law, yes, mom, you've brought up your son so well that he loves me like this. And she will be able to appreciate that because every mother wants her
what if he turns
son.
back and says, but your mother didn't bring you up well? Just a question.
Um, I think that will trigger me. I have to be honest. That will trigger me if she
Yeah.
says that. But then I'm going to center myself and smile at her and walk away. because what I give her in return is a choice.
Right.
See,
And then sit down and think, and this is actually homework for me. I'm going to sit down and think why that is going to trigger me. So thank you, Nidhi, for that question.
why don't we say this way? Yes, my mother taught me when I cannot, I should express myself. That's the strength my mom has given. If
Yep.
I can't take it anymore, I should be able to express and ask for help, right? And in both the cases, whoever is saying anything to us, what do you believe about yourself? I am
Right.
tired. I asked him to make a cup of tea. He's making it happily. What matters to me is if he had said, I will not make simply because even if you're tired, go do it. That even then, why don't I just walk out, go to a restaurant, have a cup of tea? So I'm changing my environment. I'm away
Right.
from that. I'm having my chai, which I didn't want it to make by myself. How do I feel? If someone says, oh my God, what a wife you are, or what a woman you are, you're putting everything on others, is it true? No, I don't do that. This is the only time. So, whatever she or he or anybody else is saying, is it true? No. The whole world may be saying, yes, it is true. I feel it is no. That's it. That's the foundation, right?
So that
So,
comes with a lot of self confidence, doesn't it? Like knowing myself, have absolute faith in what I'm doing.
I feel good if he makes a cup of tea and gives me. I need it now. I don't need it every day. Why not? Why don't I deserve? Right? And it is not true that I don't, sit all the time idle or whatever. I do what I'm supposed to. So
Yeah.
that is not confidence, that is your inner reality.
Right. And actually, I will like to take that one step further, even if I am sitting and doing nothing all day long,
Right.
and my husband is making tea for me. This is something between me and him, has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah. So if he has a problem and he doesn't say it, then it is his problem.
Right.
Let's say even if he make faces and he's making it perfect, if he had a problem he would tell it, right? So it is anchoring back to your own reality within, right? So I think as the way Nidhi is bringing up perspectives and questions, it feels like self priority is not only individual's journey, but it's actually a collective journey,
Yes. Yes.
right? So it's both the personal journey can come in when we are breaking our own internalized belief, which doesn't hold good anymore for us, and kind of standing up to advocate for ourselves
Right.
in what we believe. And my belief, your belief can be very different. It's what is true for me, right? Everyone's self priority quotient can be very different, right? So I think the collective journey is all about supporting people like us, and we do the same. So every time a woman sets a boundary, asks for what she deserves, or chooses herself without guilt, she is making a way for others to do the same. We kind of stand like mirrors, showing each other. And, if this can happen with me, why can't it happen with you? Why can't you just do things without guilt for yourself?
So, yes, it will start from within. It will extend to others around us. And to a very great extent, it's also about us learning, just like Archana said, that what I feel within me is what is important and not what everyone else wants me to feel and think, because it's going to take a very long time for the society to accept it. The society may or may not accept it. Do I accept it? I am the center of my existence, and what I feel about it is the most important thing. So, looking within is the first step for us to be able to do anything in life.
Right. See, if one of us change, the other two changes, the other two changes, another six changes, six goes into so the who is society here, right? It kind of ripples and it changes. The whole thing will change, whole perspective changes, right? I think it's maybe instead of self priority, it should have been self permission to self, right?
Right. And actually, Archana, that makes me think slightly differently. There may be some people who want to live absolutely the way the society is today, right?
Perfect.
Like for me, it may be important to follow the societal norms. I don't want to question them. I'm happy with the way they are. Then I say, awesome, perfect, that works for you. Go ahead, do it that way. We should be able to have that kind of acceptance and openness towards each other. They
Right.
should be able to be open to me for me to be able to live the life that I live, and I'm open to them. So self priority could also be saying that, I don't want to prioritize myself. I want to prioritize everyone else around me because that is what is important to me. And I am going to just live by the rules that have been made by this patriarchy because that is what works for me for whatever reason.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Kudos to you.
But
I love that because that works for you.
no, but see, when we talk about society, the general philosophy of a society is that it does not allow individualization. A society does not like individuals, it wants people to follow whatever it is designing to make others follow, right? So when we talk about self prioritization, we are actually talking about individualization. All right. And every society is, it has its foundational philosophy, and most of these foundational philosophies are basically how you should live your life, your ethics, your politics, your religion, whatever. Okay. So, how, and then when it is asking everyone to follow that, and you individually may feel that it does not suit me, it is beyond my capabilities to adhere to, and it is infringing on my personal boundaries, on my choice of living my way, then there is always a threat of ostracization. And ostracization has been used as a very effective tool over centuries, especially against women. We can't deny there was witch hunting, there's ostracization, there all kind of atrocities that women have to go through if they even think about expressing their opinion. So all this sounds very nice, very hopeful. But when it comes to the practicality of it, I somehow fail to see this concept spreading beyond your homes into your society. And this is where I want to bring out this notion that it is collective, and it probably will start with, say, the three of us, and then our circle grows if other people join in and they feel, because this is also an alternative philosophy that women prioritize yourself. You are nurturers, but you need to nurture yourself as well. Even if you have to give up your jobs for your children, take pride in doing that, as much pride as you would take in doing a job. And when we talk about the acceptance of society, I think that's still a far, far cry. As Ritu had said in the beginning, that there are very few women who have this privilege to even sit and talk like this.
So again, society, let's say it's a big thing, okay? Whatever you spoke about, it's a macro. The reflection of the society at a smaller version, at a micro level, is our own family. All of us are different, but we still have some rules set for the family. You're supposed to do this at the time. You have to eat at the dining table. You have to do at this time, this one. You cannot speak this way. You have to follow this. You have to come back home this way, blah, blah, blah. So there are children and the family members who don't like it, right? And we don't just fight and go a walk out of the house, right? So if, like, for example, my generation growing up, my children's generation growing up, how I have three generations, like my parents or in-laws, my generation, and my generation especially evolved in a different way than others whom I know, and my children evolving. So these are all different layers that I can see, and I blend very well with the newer generation. I can blend with the old generation. So they have not changed their ways. I'm not asking my younger generation to change their ways, but we can blend because we are in a formation of a family. There is some harmony, there is some set of rules, there is some energy that binds it. Similarly, for society, also goes through a change. Like you were saying, olden days, it was a lot. Now, look at what we are doing. This is the society we are having, right? So every time, every moment, it's evolving. And yes, you will have different chunks of community with that energies. For whoever belief system matches, they will find those people and be in that group. So eventually, slowly, whatever we all as collective need, that is what is going to change, right? But again, as Ritu said initially, it is all about your own awareness, your own understanding, your own recognizing yourself that this is what it is. Who am I? Why I like this? Why I don't like this? What do I want to do? And accepting that this is what it is, right? And staying strong at that. Like small shifts can lead to radical transformations. That's very important, right? So I think if we start with being at home, doing small things at home changes for myself, I feel so good, right? I will close the door of my room. Everybody is at home. 10 minutes, nobody disturbs me. That's it. I will not answer anyone for 10 minutes. No matter, even if the children is coming and talking, I'm not listening. Can I do that? If I can do that little shift, that will pump in my confidence to take a next step ahead.
Right.
And when I'm doing this shift, if I think about, oh my God, will the society, the bigger thing, will it accept me? Then I am lowering my confidence. My own inner circle is my field to experiment. Start with.
Right. So I would like to take an example here, Nidhi. So we had parda system, right, where women would not show their faces to the male members even within the family,
Right.
right? Or when they would go outside the house, their faces would be covered. And this was very much prevalent in India. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware of any specific big thing that women did. Like, we took to the streets to stop it, to change it. We didn't really do anything out there in the public as a society to change that. But today, we don't see parda system the way it used to be before. It just changed slowly and slowly by people changing it within their homes, within
Right.
their families. And we did not even realize it would have taken maybe 50, 60, 70 years to go away, but it slowly and surely went away. Today, there are very few families where you would see them practicing that. And also, let us be aware of the fact there is a group of women in the society, when they listen to what we are talking, they will feel this is so irrelevant. Why are they talking about it at all? Of course, everybody prioritizes themselves. How can you live life without prioritizing themselves, yourself? So, we have the other extreme also, where people are completely prioritizing themselves. We have those women as well. And of course, we have the women who don't even know how to think about priority. But then we are somewhere in the middle. And as a few of us keep on working on ourselves and our families, it will slowly and surely spread in the society. Because the society begins with just one person, one family, one society.
So what Ritu you're saying is that systemic changes do come, but they come at their own pace and time, and they start from home. Our home is a safe space we create first, and then gradually it spreads out. And we need more and more safe spaces like that. In fact, for International Women's Day, also, one of the main agendas, main goals is to create safe spaces for women around the world, probably all the cities in the world, because that is one thing which is really lacking. And if we can create it at home, and like we are trying to create here, the Voice Weavers is a space for women to come, to express themselves, to learn from each other, and to grow. And it's a safe space, no judgment. So these are the kind of efforts we need to ultimately go towards the next step, which is self realization, and then prioritizing ourselves, because that is better not just for myself, but for everyone around me.
I think that's a very nice thought of safe space. In my personal opinion, feeling safe with yourself, in yourself, is the way forward, right? So awareness, and then once you're aware, what actions do you want to take for your awareness? And can you stand, be accountable for your actions, right? And all these things, as you rightly said, the voice weavers can be the safe space for all of us to speak up, support each other. And as we speak up, support each other, grow together, let us refuse to shrink and just look at expanding in our ambition, in our standing for ourselves and others. And yeah, let's demand safe space from ourselves.
Right. I totally agree with both of you. It is very important to give ourselves the permission to unapologetically be ourselves. Okay. So, firstly, to give safe space to your own self within yourself, to say that, okay, this is who I am and I accept myself with all my flaws. Of course, we are not perfect, with all my shortcomings, with anything that I may not be able to do, or with anything in which I'm extraordinary. It is very important for us to learn to accept that I'm good at something. I think a lot of us actually even struggle with that.
Yeah.
So, first, total acceptance within ourselves. And then, like I said, everyone needs somewhere to go. So, we need the safe space, that's somewhere to go where I'm accepted without any hindrances, where I don't need to have a mask to look like something that will make me acceptable to others. And totally and completely, when we came together, that is exactly what we wanted to create out of the Voice Weavers. So I really hope that is what everyone will find the space to be.
I think that was a
Yes.
wonderful conversation we've had today. We've discussed very important things, and it's a topic which can have a lot of connotations for different people, but definitely the strive to self knowledge is a worthy strive. I feel we should all delve into it once at least, see what we are made of, how much can we stand for ourselves, and as Sarchana said, do not shrink as long as we can. Stick to our ground. That really matters. So, for our viewers, I want to say whether you're seeking practical tools, solidarity, or a spark of courage, let's lean into this conversation. Share your thoughts and let's ask what should it look like to truly honor ourselves unapologetically? Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.